So what's your name?
Got it.
I thought because Chris Hall emailed me earlier and said he's got some memorabilia.
Never.
Of our late.
It's a rumour.
Sorry, Ian.
He's taking.
I've seen it.
He's taking ointment for it anyway. But he's got some memorabilia of our late Queen and a sports person, which
I've got some as well.
Well, thank you, Paul, because it got me thinking. I'm sure we've all got memories we'd like to share if we've, I don't know, met the Queen or what have you. So I thought we've got the possibility that our outside broadcast from en route to Swansea, Keith will be
Not a cultural United, actually.
because he's allegedly
Unfortunately, yes.
allegedly met the late Queen. Anyway, if I can start the ball rolling, badly though I have, Chris, would you like to launch us off? Well, it was your idea, so have you got a bit of memorabilia you'd like to show us?
Yeah. It won't take a great deal of time, but I just thought it was apt in and during such a momentous week and a sad week, and I do this with great respect to the late, the late Queen. Goes back to 1977, and a little known match called the Centenary Test, which was at the MCG in Australia, and was probably one of the greatest matches and occasions of all time. But it had a royal element to it because this took place during the Queen's Silver Jubilee visit to Australia, one of 36 countries that she visited during her Jubilee year, ending in Canada. And she went obviously with Prince Philip as a cricket fan. And part of the itinerary was to be in Melbourne. And part of that itinerary was to be at the fifth day, which was a bit of a risk, the fifth day of the Centenary Test. And as we all can remember, after one day, the authorities thought, oops, the Queen's coming on the fifth day and this match isn't going to last three. Such was the state of the batting on both sides. Well, again, as we can probably remember, on the 17th of March, the final day of her visit to Melbourne before she went off to, I think it was Adelaide, not sure, the Queen duly arrived and the game was being played because a certain Nottinghamshire cricketer who is, I'm honoured to say, is still my good friend, Derek Randall, had got 174 and extended the game deep into the fifth day. So the item I have is a photograph I acquired. I had to buy it, which is one of those things. I want that. But this is an official picture print of, and I'm going to hold it up to the camera and let you say if you can see it okay.
Draw back, draw back,
Higher.
draw back, and a bit more, and higher. That'll do.
Perfect.
That's it.
Okay.
You've got it.
So this is the tea interval, and Derek is already out. Derek is now out just before tea on 174. He had tried to go up the wrong steps to end up being with the Queen, but he realised his mistake and withdrew. So this is at the tea interval, and this is the official presentation of the two teams, with Her Majesty being presented at this point to Retford and Nottinghamshire's Derek Randall. And that's, in my family, that's a very proud moment when we know where Derek's roots came from. Can, just as a matter of fun, can anyone give me the person introducing the Queen and the players next to Derek Randall in picture?
It's Tony Craig.
Tony Craig.
Chris Hall.
Chris Hall.
Tony Greg.
Yes.
Alan Lamb.
No, Alan Lamb.
Peter Lever. I couldn't.
Peter Lever. Yeah.
Peter Lever.
Correct, Ron. Peter Lever. And the other player from Derbyshire, all-rounder, off-spinner.
Jeff Miller.
Jeff Miller, whose career as an after dinner, if you don't mind, I'm just going to rest. His career as an after dinner speaker is based upon Derek, his great friend, and all the stories including stories from the centenary test. So Jeff's made a career out of his anecdotes. Now, over on the other side of this sheet, I'm just going to show you one more, if that's all right, Mr. Chairman, Ian.
Yeah.
Because in the first innings, Rick McCosker for Australia was hit on the head, no helmet, fell onto his stumps, was obviously out, but broke his jaw. It was Bob Willis who inadvertently broke his jaw. So at this tea interval, Rick McCosker appeared fully bandaged and was rightly presented to the Queen because he did return in the second innings. He had a 50 partnership with Rod Marsh. And if you look at the pattern and the result, that partnership probably won Australia the game. So he's an unsung, often forgotten hero. Well, he wasn't forgotten by our Queen because she spent time. Can you see that?
Yeah.
She spent a lot of time talking to an extremely injured man, and he probably had to speak like that for his teeth. But nevertheless, the Queen was fully briefed at what had happened, and doesn't she look beautiful?
Yes. Yeah.
On that picture, I'm sure it cheered him up. So I just wanted to do that in a book that I have, which is fully autographed. The centre pages of the book are given. Can you see that, guys?
Yeah.
Those pictures are full of the Queen at the presentations, and also driving around the MCG before she left in a purple Rolls Royce. And obviously that gave that match immense credibility, and if it didn't need it already, because it was part of the Jubilee celebrations in Australia.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for doing that, Chris. That's
Not at all. That's I'm just sad to do it in a way.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very much mixed emotions, but I'm one cup half full, always want to celebrate a life rather than bemoan it. Paul,
Indeed.
you wanted to come in, I think, did you not?
Well, yeah, I met the Queen, but sort of, as I said to Keith in my reply. My dad was a recipient of the Maundy money.
All right.
Queen came to Sheffield in 2015, and he was one of the 86 people, I think, who was chosen to receive Maundy money. And I was his nominated companion. So I sat behind him all the morning, and I was about a metre away from the Queen as he shook hands with her. So it was a very explosive experience. I've got the money here, but I don't know.
He had it. I knew he.
I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Wow.
So they get their silver coins.
Is there 3 bits missing?
Speak, Paul.
You
Say
might
something.
Paul.
Hello.
You might.
Hello.
You're
Hello.
back. You're back.
Have you spent some of that, Paul? There's some missing.
Yes. Somebody's nicked a couple of bits.
Yeah, probably.
Wasn't me. Wasn't me.
I needed to go to the chip shop, but they are silver coins. There's a 50p in there, and there's a £5 coin as well.
Wow.
Fantastic, Paul.
Fantastic, that, Paul.
All sorts of legal tender, apparently. Much sought after, highly.
Worth a lot more.
We're just
than
going to
I
ask
paid.
Yeah.
You can only spend it on Monday, Thursday.
Not that anybody be stupid enough to spend it, but
Well, but the strange thing was, just out of interest, on the day after he'd received the money, we went on eBay. I'm not an eBay person at all, but somebody said, go and have a look. And some people who'd received it at the same time as my dad had put it on eBay. I can't imagine why anybody would do that.
Yeah.
That's strange.
Yeah.
must have been very hard up.
Must have been.
Yeah.
Very mercenary or whatever.
Great story.
His
Thanks,
son
Paul.
with the
Really
torch, Paul.
Really good.
Who'd want to get rid of the Olympic torch?
Exactly. My son carried the torch in the Olympic torch relay, and some people were selling that on the same day.
Yeah.
You know, it has pride of place in his house.
Oh,
Sure.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Do we have
Yeah,
any?
not
Do we have
surprised.
any more who have either met or been associated with the Queen or the royal family? Colin,
As a, I, I've been to a garden party just with my wife, just us and 6,998 others. But at our probus meeting yesterday morning, one of our members who hasn't been, through ill health, hasn't been for a while, made a special effort to come and tell us about his meeting with the Queen. He was a surgeon, and he was in the chair of one of the councils of surgery or something, and got invited to a Mansion House dinner where the Queen was guest. And he was introduced. His name was Andrew Raftery, and he was introduced as Andrew Rafferty, of course, and then reintroduced with the correct name and his title. And she said, "Where do you work and what's your speciality?" And he said, "I work in Sheffield in liver transplantation." She said, "Oh, do you have a lot of trouble finding donors?" And he said, "Well, yes, Your Majesty, we do. It is a problem." And she said, what do you think about the opt-out version of things? And he thought, she knows about the opt-out thing. And she chatted to him about the problems of donations of organs for a couple of minutes or three. And eventually she moved on. And as she was moving on, somebody else said, "Mr. Raftery is very fond of horse racing, Your Majesty." "Oh," she said, "national hunt or flat, Mr. Raftery?" And he said, "Well, mainly flat, ma'am." He said, "And what's your favourite race course?" And he said, "York. I was born and brought up within sight of it." He said, "Yes, it's one of my favourites as well. I always enjoy going there." Do you have a bet, Mr. Raftery?" "Yes, ma'am." "And do you win?" "Occasionally, ma'am." With which she smiled and moved on. She knew all about organ transplants and donations and the opt-out situation. And then when we were able to chat about horse racing, it was
fabulous.
a lovely little story.
Yeah,
Indeed.
Colin, you were trying to get in. You've got a
I was
story.
just going to, this was a job that I was involved in. It was the restoration of Westminster Abbey,
Wow.
which took place between 1973 and 1995. And this is a programme for the service of Thanksgiving that was attended by Her Majesty the Queen, which my wife and myself were one of the invited people there, which was a tremendous service in Westminster Abbey. And it was followed by a garden party in the grounds of the Abbey. And you wouldn't have realised, well, I would never realise the amount of grass and greenery and trees there are, in the Abbey grounds. You wouldn't know it if you didn't get on the other side of it at all. And I did actually meet the Duke a couple of times on evening receptions down there, because we had to go and talk about the progress of the job. And obviously it went on for 22 years. It's a mammoth job. I think our bill in the end was about £23 million, and the Duke was the patron of it, and every pound they spent was raised by public donation. There was no government money in it whatsoever. So it was a tremendous effort, and it was rewarding to be involved in it.
Well done, Colin. I didn't know that. Well done. Well done.
Jonathan,
unfortunately, I can't find I've been racking through some stuff this morning to find this, but I can't find the invitation actually, which is rather disappointing me because I want to find it. I know I've got it somewhere, but
Well,
Is it signed?
pardon? No, you wouldn't. You
it
wouldn't.
doesn't follow your habit.
You wouldn't be like Chris and ask for their autographs. I didn't
Give us a
want to
signature.
finish up in the tower.
You'd be
Dennis Lilly
ejected.
did.
Yeah, Dennis, and he got one in the end. He did get one, but it was sent to him. Yeah, no. If you did ask Colin, I'm sure that the Tower of London would be in full use.
I think you should check in Keith Loft.
Can we move on? I think, Jonathan, you had an experience you wanted to share. Am I right?
Yes, indeed. As a musician, I played in orchestras in front of the Queen on 7 occasions. I calculated, but the most recent one was at St Pancras Station when they reopened it 15 years ago.
You were
But I
busking.
remember like it. Sorry,
You were busking.
that's right. Yes.
You've got to get a little bit extra, we can understand.
But in 1979, I was playing at the opening of the Queen's Hall in Edinburgh, and she was sitting literally 10 feet away from me throughout the whole concert because I was sitting behind the leader on the platform, which is slightly raised. And so I can claim to have been in her presence, even if I didn't actually wasn't personally introduced. Yeah.
That's a claim I can make, which I might come on to. But is there anybody else who's got a personal experience of the royal family, like John?
Yeah, well, I did go to Buckingham Palace in 2001 to collect
Yes,
the
you
MBE. I was hoping it would be the Queen, but she couldn't get out of bed for me. I think she was having a tea and toast. So the now King Charles presented me with the MBE, and we had they give you a video. I've got the option to buy a video, and then they turn the video into about a 30-minute piece of work, and it's really good. But the less than 2 minutes, that probably well under 2 minutes, I spent chatting with him or him chatting with me, expanded that, like from all angles, aerial photographs, trouser leg, and all sorts of things. It made it look as if we were in a movie together. It was a very interesting experience. Yeah. And I was working on the project to build a new office for Department of Health and Social Security in Hartshead Square in Sheffield. So I told him I'd try and make sure it wasn't a carbuncle. Yeah, and in the same queue afterwards to have official photographs taken was Anthony Minghella, the film director of English Patient, among others. Yeah. And prior to the presentation, they separated us. They separated the knights to be from the rest of us, riffraff, and Jackie Stewart. So Jackie Stewart was the other side of the rope. So we were separated by ropes. So it's a very interesting experience being in Buckingham Palace and listening to the band playing show tunes as well.
Wow.
Protocol.
Jennifer tells me Anthony Mingella's mum was nice. She was talking to her.
It was just having a cup of coffee at a table.
Yeah, what she's saying is he always gave her a party at every one of her films, a part in every one of his films, even if it was only having sitting and having a cup of coffee at a table, something like that.
Is one allowed to ask, or does protocol permit you to tell us what the king asked you and what you said? Or...
No, it was just, he just asked me what I did. What are you doing here? What have you got one of these?
What is one doing here?
The vehicles behind him got the kukris out, which wasn't a pleasant experience, I'm telling you. He just asked me what I did in the civil service, how long I'd been there, and stuff like that. Just general chit chat. You're coming at me then, Ian.
Great honour, John. Great honour.
It was. Yeah, I took my son and daughter and Jenny with us, and my son was totally not in favour of it. So he was grumpy all day. My daughter thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm sure my son enjoyed the experience, but he wasn't in favour of the honour system. But we had a good day. Yeah, we had a good day overall. Does anybody from Sheffield remember the Queen coming here in 1954? Because as a 5-year-old, I remember my mum and dad taking me down to Sheffield Midland Station and waiting in a crowd of thousands as her Rolls Royce swept out of the middle of the station and up onto Sheaf Street. As a 5-year-old, I still remember that. Remember the Queen and Prince Philip waving to us. Well, to my mum and dad and me specifically, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when the Kop was covered at Hillsborough, when a massive feat, really, it was the biggest Kop in English football at the time. The Queen, remarkably, came to open it, and there's a plaque there that the Queen opened the covered Kop. It would be the very late 80s or early 90s, between around about 88 and 90. What, Ron?
Yeah, I remember coming then.
Yeah. I've got some really good photographs, but I can't find them at the moment. I'll try and find them for next week, because they're excellent photos of the Queen driving around the pitch, or driving across the front of the South Stand, and a couple of pictures of her in the stand. They're really good photos. I'll try and find them for next week.
Yeah, that'd be good.
My memorabilia is less organised than yours, Chris. Yeah.
Anybody else got an input?
I did once go to Buckingham Palace with my wife, Catherine, invited by one of the Queen's butlers. He stayed, there's a sort of thing in the Salvation Army where different bands go different places, and, you know, we travel around the country, you stay at different people's houses. But Hendon band came to Sheffield, and one of the guys who stayed with us was one of the Queen's butlers.
Oh.
And he said, well, if you want, I can give you a guided tour around the palace.
Incredible.
You know, we thought at the time, yeah, of course you would.
Is he a scouser?
He'll show you the kitchen and the toilets.
I'll get you in for cheap. Yeah. But he got in touch, and we did go, and he had a room to himself, and his room was the one directly below below the flag. So it was the highest room, sort of the apex, and his directly below where the flag is.
Like a triangular room. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah. But it was really, but very small. But it was a great view.
Fantastic.
Great view out the window.
Yeah, yeah, it would be.
Did you wave?
I don't think the window was even big enough to get my hand out of. It was a good thing. I mean, he didn't take us around any of the private rooms, obviously, but you know,
that's a unique tour though, that, isn't it, Paul?
It was, because at that time that was before. I mean, you can go on guided tours now around the palace, can't you?
Yes.
In those days,
and round Chris's loft, Chris's memorabilia loft.
Yeah, but
I've been on it.
There's a very big queue for that.
Yeah. Did you nick anything, Jonathan?
The guided tour only shows you the public rooms.
Right.
Can I?
He was presented with an item or two.
Yeah.
Yes, most certainly.
I found. By the way, I found them in the bin outside. So thanks a lot.
But I had read them first.
Guys, we've got less than 10 minutes, and I'd like to close this discussion, if I may, because I've got some of my own memorabilia I'd like to share with you, of which I'm rather proud. So hope I don't bore you. But you may have heard a while back talking about my dad and the opening of the second tunnel in Liverpool. And a year later, for his services to Liverpool, he was knighted by the Queen. And I've got a couple of albums here. This is the official album of the opening of the Mersey Tunnel. And just there, if I can bring that, the reflection, you can see the Queen being introduced by the Lord Mayor, Charlie Cowlin, who went to my school, having introduced my father, and now introducing my mother. And that was a very proud day when my father hosted the Queen for the entire day, introducing all the people involved in the building of the Mersey Tunnel on the Liverpool side and on the Wallasey side, the story goes that the reason that the second Mersey tunnel has 2 holes is because the Irishmen started from either side, Wallasey and Spearhead, and they should have met in the middle, but they didn't. Believe that if you will. But the reason I mention it is because the closest I ever got to Her late Majesty was that evening at a gala, I think at the Empire. And my little sister was the 16-year-old who donated the bouquet of flowers at the beginning of the evening.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And that picture doesn't do
Who's
justice.
the woman with the insister?
The picture doesn't do it justice, but that gown that Her Majesty is wearing is absolutely fantastic. It glittered. She came up to take her seat. She came up to the balcony, and there was a thoroughfare in front of where my mum and I were sitting. Dad was accompanying her again. And it was like an angel just coming through. She was silver. She was only 5 foot, whatever. And all the eyes were watching. And there was that aura around her. The regrettable thing is that just at the moment you want to say hello, you have to go. So you never actually see the face. But it was there, you know. I'm sure she said, "Hi, Ian." And I said, "Well, hi, Queen." But that is, you know, but she.
At least she didn't say hello, Gail.
Yeah, I like Gail. But Jimmy Tarbuck told a joke because they had Jimmy Tarbuck, Arthur Askey, the Scaffold, the Beatles, Jerry and the Pacemakers, Frankie Vaughan, Arthur Askey, they're all there. And Jimmy Tarbuck came in. We're all very loyal in Liverpool. We're always saying, yeah. And I often wondered, said to my little sister, Sally, said, "Is that what you said when you gave her the bouquet?" Yeah. And I think, you know, we've got about 5 minutes left of this session, but I wondered after Chris had made the suggestion about putting on memorabilia of the Queen with Derek Randall, whether there were any stories we all have to share. I think we are a fair representation of an awful lot of people in this country who have their personal recollections of that wonderful woman who has left a place in our hearts, you know. And I do hope her son enjoys as much respect and support as we gave our Queen, because she always gave it to us. And I feel honoured to have just
nearly a woman kiss.
But then subsequently the following year to start a 16-year service in the RAF as a commissioned officer and have her Sword of Honour. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit emotional.
No, that's all.
You're rightly proud of what you've achieved and your dad.
Well, I came up in a disciplined family, a very conservative family, where you children were seen and not heard. You spoke.
You've made up for it since, mate.
Absolutely. But how things, and she's seen that change, not just in our family, but throughout the nation and her realms. How, you know, the swinging 60s, which two-fingered everything, you know, because we'd been through a war and you know, lots of austerity and the rest of it, and so on and so forth. And we've just evolved. And I think there are times, I know we're all getting a bit old and long in the tooth, but there are times when I think we forget just how much progress we do make as human beings. And in this country, and I think we can see for the world, when they talk about the Queen, Macron, the French president said it, you know, she may have been your Queen, but she was the Queen. And it's people like that who inspire us. Anyway,
well said. Ian. Fantastic memorabilia that you've got. Well, they're not memorabilia; they're treasured family heirlooms.
Yeah, I would have shown you the best bits, like the program for the gala and things like that, and lots of other stuff. But I made an album for my mum when my dad died, with things just like that. I made 2 albums. The family album, which is rather like the royal family are doing now. They're trying to grieve for their mum, and so they've got their own personal memories. And then the official album, which is Dad as a politician, as an engineer, and so on and so forth. And seeing how the two melded, what the public sees, what the public, thank God, doesn't see, sort of thing. But each having its own story and influence, and the reasoning behind how people behave and react and what have you. I just find it very interesting, history generally, but people make history. And I think the more you delve into people and more who they are and how they act and why they act like they do, the more interesting it becomes. Anyway, that's the end of my sermon, but thank you for sharing your experiences with us. And thank you for allowing me to record it, because I think we've got something for posterity there that we can put on the website if you're happy to.
Yeah.
Share it with us.
Just a thing about the Mersey Tunnel. The Queen opened the branch, and it's called Kingsway.
That's right.
The King opened the first tunnel, and what's that called? Queensway.
Queensway.
And do you know who decided that?
No, your dad.
My dad.
Fancy that.
Wow.
Yeah.
He got into politics. How are we doing for now? 1 minute, 11 seconds. He was actually a very good orator. He could mimic Winston Churchill, something rotten, and he a good after dinner speaker. But he got into politics, and David Frost had a go at him for being one of the 5 MPs that had done nothing in a parliamentary session. What have you? You may remember it, TW3. And it was because my old dad was writing the speeches for the cabinet ministers. Because he was that good, And I've got his speech. We're going back to private album, but what I've done for my mum is I've actually laid out Dad's speech typed up, but with his manuscript changes. Speech to the Queen on
unique
Liverpool. We're now less than a minute. We're about to cut off. I think I've got the timing right. We'll be back again in 15 minutes.
See you soon. So thank you, Ian.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Yeah.
Alexa, alarm in 5 minutes.